Stepped on the scene, dripped in saline. Whole crew shining, call me Mr. Clean. Came in from the back, walked right to the front. Dancing to the music, smoking on the. Got the women smiling, punk grilling me, looking all dusty. Black Force energy, I don't even drink, but the team pop bottles. Not here for the beef, but the Glock holds hollows. Think I'm cocky, but I think I'm worse. In this flexing like a Mr. Universe.
The next topic we're going to discuss on Boxing Bros is TC gives Spence respect for making the fight happen. Let's take a listen to what TC had to say, and then we'll discuss it.
Would be okay. You would be okay with the rematch. If it comes up, you take it.
Yeah, he has to, right, bud?
Yeah, I have to.
Yeah, that's the contract.
Yeah. He gave me the opportunity. Without Errol giving me the opportunity and us coming together and him agreeing to, certain terms and me agreeing to certain terms, y'all wouldn't witness history or greatness, Saturday. So, it's only right that, I give him the credit that he deserved because, he's right. He told me at the weigh-ins, you ain't got to thank me for making this shit happen. And I told him, you ain't got to thank me either. We about to make history, and a lot of people was asking me, like, what do you mean by that? And I was like, to be honest, if it wasn't for Errol, this fight wouldn't have happened, So that's what he mean by I don't have to thank him because he played a big part in this fight this fight happening because he stood on, what he wanted to accomplish and everything that it was going to take for us to fight. He stood on it and, he put his pride to the side. I put my pride to the side. And there was things that, he felt as if I was getting over with, but he still let it go because we need to fight. And there was things that I felt, I didn't need to agree to, but I agreed to it because we both knew the magnitude of the fight. So that's why I said it was both of us. But at the same time, all the cards was in Errol's hands, and he could have said, "No, I'm not giving in to anything. I'm fighting Keith Thurman." So I gotta give him the utmost respect, and I gotta pay homage to a person that came together. We made one of the biggest fights of this century.
So, you heard what TC had to say. G, what's your reaction?
Yeah, it's funny again because we kind of already knew about this also because we talked about this in like a couple of segments where the back and forth on the contract, and then Spence was like, all right, then cool. Oh, all right, we'll do this. Oh, we'll remove this. Or, yeah, we'll show you this. We'll show you that. We'll remove this. We'll remove that. Like, you could tell Spence really wanted to fight, and so you got to give Spence nothing but respect. And that's why it's even hard for me. Like, I'm still having some kind of like issue with like a lot of fans, the way that they're clowning on Spence. And I'm just like, yo, this is the reason why fighters don't want to take these big gambles because y'all treat guys that, to me, these are like modern day gladiators, right? Like they go into the arena knowing that, they could lose their life for our entertainment. And yet we laughing at dudes, making memes and all of that. And to me, it's like, I don't know too many guys that can get punched in the face in front of millions of people like that, So, like, to me, man, hats off to Spence, because he could have just fought Keith Thurman. And y'all could have been hating, and then there could have been an ongoing debate. This TC versus Spence could be just like the Wilder AJ saga, where it's like, yo, we're just gonna keep talking about because it's never gonna happen, But he wanted to prove to the world that he's the best, right? So he took that chance. He fell short, which is unfortunate, but You know, it's all good, man. But I just like the fact that TC is still respecting this man. You know, doesn't badmouth Spence at all, and we all seen it. TC could like really humiliate Spence. You know, the fact that he's like, yeah, you know, I'm gonna honor the rematch. He could have been like, what for? I already killed him. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all want me
They
to
blackball me for 5 years.
yeah, he could do all of that. He could violate Spence right now. He could take out all that frustration, all the 5 years of begging and waiting. He could be this. He could be just as petty, but he's not doing that, man. So I give both gentlemen the utmost respect, you know, and that kind of tells me maybe sometimes you don't need these promoters. You know, when fighters get to a particular status and they know, like, hey, you know what? I'm invested in myself. I want to see greatness coming from me in my camp. I'm going to negotiate on behalf of me, and I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to tell my lawyers, I'm going to tell my promoters, hey, this is the fight that I want next. I don't care what's going to go on. You make sure this fight gets done, signed, sealed, and delivered. And these gentlemen show that it's possible.
All right, TVE.
Nah, hats off. Like, you know, this fight, like we said, like it's similar to the AJ Wilder saga, but AJ Wilder saga go way back, like probably like 5 years, man. But TC giving his tipping his hat to Spence for making the fight and everything. We saw the videos, we saw everything, and I feel it's just respect. You show him respect, and at some point you gotta show respect. You could be that guy, be like, nah, I don't respect him. He sucks. He's trash. Da, da, da. Nah, he chose to step in the ring, and you know he was the best of the best. Spence had 3 straps. TC had 1, and at the end of the day, TC took them 3 straps from Spence. But at the end, we know what Spence is. Spence showed us his heart. He's a dog. He's a fighter. He's a talented fighter at that. But last weekend, it wasn't the fight we all wanted. You know, it wasn't the fight I wanted. But you know, I can't be mad at TC. I can't be mad at Spence. Yo, it is what it is. If the rematch happens, I think I'll go a little differently, but maybe the same result. But till then, nobody knows my predictions.
Yeah, I think it was classy. And I respect it. Because like you said, G, after years of waiting, like you just heard in the last video, if you watched the last video that we put up in the last segment, TC brought up how for years he couldn't get the fight just because he was with a certain promotional company. He knows it wasn't personal, it was business, but it still took away 5 years of him not being able to get a marquee name. So he finally gets to fight with the big fish. He beats the big fish. He beats the guy who was able to benefit from being with PBC. And now he's being asked about giving him a rematch. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to honor the rematch because he knows that Errol Spence had to be on board with this in order for the fight to happen. And he said it. Errol had all the cards. He could have just fought Keith Thurman, and then we would have been talking about 6 years of TC being blackballed. So I do think that there is a certain level of respect you have to have for your opponent, but also like respect for someone willing to take the challenge, man. You know, because Errol Spence really walked in there unified welterweight champion with all the leverage, and he walked out of there with nothing. And TC walked out with all the belts, and like G said, he could bury him. He could just throw dirt on him, but that's not what he's doing, because he appreciates the fact that Spence had the courage and the guts to challenge himself. That's what we asked of these fighters, right? Like, this could be Lennox Lewis, Riddick Bowe. That's the fight that never happened, that never will happen, that boxing fans always wanted to see. And they fought in the Olympics, and Lennox Lewis won. And they became pros. And Riddick Bowe was a great pro. And he was ordered to fight Lennox, and the fight never happened. And people have their things about it. I don't want to rehash that because that's something completely different. But the point I'm making is the fight never happened. And people still debate that fight. Who would have won? And this was seeming like it was going to be that type of fight where we never got it. We're always going to debate who would win. More recently, like G said, Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, right? But we got the fight. And part of why we got the fight was because Errol Spence put his foot down and demanded the fight. And TC and Spence both made concessions. Because remember we were talking about with TC where it was like, he said, oh, if anyone's going to get 60-40, it's going to be me. And TC wasn't willing to concede anything. He even recognized like, yo, I got to give a little. Spence realized I got to give a little to make this fight happen, which is why for me, I really wanted them to do great numbers. They did decent numbers, but I want them to do great numbers because I knew that both fighters were taking a huge risk. And one of them, you know, the risk has to be worth it. And I think the risk was worth it. Errol walked away with over 20 million. The risk was worth it, right? But if you're Errol Spence Jr. and you're taking on Terence Crawford and you can lose everything to Terence Crawford, you need some type of reward. For me, if I'm Errol, I go to sleep at night good knowing that I just made 20 million. You know, I don't care if I took that beating and everyone's making memes about me, right? Because what they say about me, like Dion said, your view of me isn't my view of myself. So if I'm Errol Spence, the way you see me is the way I see myself. I made 20 million. So you can kick rocks, but so did Crawford. The only way they could do that was with each other. So I respect TC and I respect the fact that, you know, he's showing Errol Spence love even after such a one-sided victory where he could bury him because he appreciates the fact that they actually got together to make this happen. All right. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Remember, you can check our podcast out on all major streaming services. We are the Boxing Bros.